Greetings YouTube and welcome to the Blue Corner. As you can tell by the map, today I'm going to be doing a card by Vanguard deck profile, and it's going to be on yet another version of Eradicators, but this time around it's going to be on Vowing Sword Dragon Reverse. What the heck is this thing? Well, as you can tell, it looks a little familiar. That's because it is the cross ride of the already existing trial deck boss monster Vowing Sword Dragon. And a cross ride of a break ride? That's crazy. Yes, this is, at this time, one of the few, or if not the only unit that is a cross ride based on a break ride. There will be a couple more of these in later sets, but for now, this is the first, and I must say, it's very interesting playing around with a cross ride again, as working with a 13,000 power unit, and all the numbers that you get with that. It brings back memories of when I was playing around with the Blood. Now, as far as this guy goes, he's one of the first of many units that are reversed, which is the equivalent of being hit by the Evil Swarm Infestation virus thing from Yu-Gi-Oh! Where previously original good monsters get twisted into malicious evil guys. That's what reverse units are. And in this case, it's the power of Void that has corrupted them into hideous monsters. The Void has also given them the ability to use lock on their allies to gain powers as well. The lock mechanic being that a monster is put face down through an effect, and when they're put face down this way, you can't do anything with them. You can't retire them, you can't attack with them, you can't defend with them, you can't do anything until your turn ends after they have been locked. If your opponent locks the card during their turn, then yeah, you can't defend with it, then your turn, you can't attack with it, then it gets unlocked. So that's what reverse and what locking does. In Vowing Sword Dragon, his upgrade version, Vowing Saber Dragon, has a pretty simple ability. It's Counterblast 2, lock 2 Eradicator units, your opponent retires 2 cards of their choosing, 2 rear guards of their choosing, and then he gets plus 10,000 power for the turn. So it's a lot like Buster Dragon, where you're going to be popping units and getting power, but instead of getting an extra crit, this guy retires 2 units. And seeing how a lot of people like to have only like one guy, like one offensive rear guard and like a booster or 2 for when they're playing against Eradicators, you're going to be wiping out a fairly large portion of their board. Combining with other guys you might have, you might even be able to clear all of their rear guards. This guy can also activate multiple times in a turn. So if you really wanted to, you could lock 4 units and just blow up 4 rear guards that your opponent has. That would be an insanely huge push, as you'd be swinging for 33,000, and combined with some other units in the deck, you could do some pretty good numbers. I think I got this guy to 50,000 once, and that was because of the break ride and then the multiple retires. So yeah, I'm running 3 copies of him right now. I'm going to be not running this deck after the next set comes out, because Chaos Breaker Dragon will be a thing, and Chaos Breaker Dragon just punishes this deck hard. But for now, I'm running 3 copies of this guy over Gauntlet Buster, and then I'm running 3 copies of Break Ride Vowing Sword Dragon. So this is a nice 22,000 turn, and I just want to say right now, this guy's artwork is just freaking badass. I really want to get an SP of this. It just looks so nice. And then 2 copies of Descendant. 2 of these will be splashed in just about every Eradicator deck. Even though I can play with 4, I found that playing 4 Descendant is really clunky. So I tried 3, I liked that, and now I'm trying 2 for whenever I want to do a 3-3-2 line of certain units. 2 Descendant has been actually quite enough. I don't get it to it early, which is good. Late game I tend to have it after this guy has just kept on like pushing and pushing and pushing, and then you got Descendant for cleanup. That's what it does best. For my starting unit, I have Sparky Dragoon over Lynchu, as I want to be able to get to my grade 3s as soon as possible, so I will take the chance and check those top 5 cards. I just find this to be the better starter than Lynchu. For the grade 2s, I am running 4 copies of Spark Rain Dragon, 4 copies of Zuei-Tan. I am Counterblast heavy in this deck, and Zuei-Tan can also put Vowing Swords from the deck into the Soul sometimes. Speaking of which, 3 copies of Cho-Oh, I need to get a 4th one. Put something into the Soul, retire something. An interesting interaction with this card I noticed was that sometimes you'll be forced to ride this guy early, and you don't have the brake ride ready to go. Worse yet, you don't have the cross ride set up, so he's swinging at 11,000. However, later on, you might be able to draw into a Vowing Sword, so you just call this, and then you call this, put this into the hole to retire something, and then you get the 13,000 boost. So there's that thing I noticed with Ho-Oh. Neat little interactions that make Narukami fun. Then rounding out, 2 copies of a new card, Homing Eradicator Rokushin. This guy is simple. He gets 5,000 power every time you retire something through a card effect. Well, this guy retires a card, this guy retires 2 cards, this guy retires a card. This thing has the chance to get really, really, really big. He's going to be getting plus 15. If you do the cross break ride and the retire with this guy, he's getting plus 15,000 attack. He is weak defensively, but again, this helps you just make some big pushes. 13,000 to 18,000 without a boost is pretty nice when you're forced to lock your boosters. That's the one thing about this guy that has been a little bit difficult, is just finding the right stuff to lock. I've been usually locking my booster, and then maybe another back rear guard, depending on what I have up front. If it's a 9K rear guard, then I'm not going to lock this booster, I'll lock this one. And if it's something that's a 11 or 12K, then I'll lock these 2 rear guards. But anyway, those are my grade 2s for my grade 1s. It's pretty simple. 4 copies of the perfect guard, 4 copies of caster, summon it, ditch a card that I don't need, draw 1 if my opponent has 2 or less rear guards, which with this deck isn't that difficult to set up. And then because I am retiring so much in this build, I am running a full set of Steel-Blooded Eradicator Shuki. Then for the triggers, pretty simple. I've grown to like 6 crits, 6 draws, and then the 4 heals. So that is it for the deck itself. I know it's probably nowhere near as good as Gauntlet Buster and Descendant, but I really just like Vowing Sword Reverse. Like, this artwork just looks so freaking badass. I just had to build a deck around it. So, yeah. Like I said before, though, I'm gonna be not playing this once Chaos Breaker Dragon comes out, because when you unflip your locked units, he kills them and draws a card for each one. Like, that thing is stupid. So this guy, instead of giving me advantage, is going to be giving my opponent the ability to not only break even, but the plus. Which is, again, not good. That being said, though, I hope you guys enjoyed this deck. It's definitely been fun to play around with. And I'm looking forward to being able to play around with upcoming Narukami cards, because BT14 has yet some more guys, in particular Tempest Bolt Dragon and Ignition Dragon. Oh my god, those things. Until next time, though, people, this is BlueStar899, jacking out.